the last few days, the monsoon session is on and the government has been passing critical bills, and which is why we thought that we will do a short and a comprehensive primer on how bills are passed in the parliament. It all begins when a ministry decides to bring in a proposed legislation, and which is why they put their text mostly on their website. They seek comments from various stakeholders. It can be comments that they can seek from various ministries, from other industries, from interested parties, as well as public. They of course are always given a certain time frame. Under this time frame, after receiving the inputs from various ministries and other stakeholders, they will be incorporating these inputs in their proposed legislation and then also vetted by the law ministry. It is then presented to the cabinet for approval. Now, once the cabinet approves a certain bill, it is then put forth in the parliament. It is introduced on the floor of the house, either in the Lok Sabha or in the Rajya Sabha. In the parliament also, the bill goes through 3 readings or 3 different stages. The first stage is usually when a bill is introduced. When the bill is introduced, it could be opposed by the opposition parties, and then the matter is put to vote in the house. In this case, in the current dispensation, we are seeing how the government has numbers on their side and they are able to put forth critical legislations in the parliament. In fact, after the first reading, after a bill has been introduced, it can be referred to a standing committee or a parliament committee that can look at it and examine various clauses in the bill. The standing committee, of course, will be considering broad objectives, specific clauses of the bill that are related to it, and will invite and seek views in terms of public comments as well. Once that is done, it submits their recommendations in the form of a report to the parliament. In the second reading, we always see that all those points that have been put forth by the parliamentary standing committees, some of those points are put in the bill. Each clause within the bill is scrutinized. So there is a clause by clause scrutiny that happens. Each clause of the bill is discussed. It may be accepted, rejected, or amended. The government or any MP may introduce any sort of an amendment to the bill, and then it is upon the government, it is upon them that they can then take a call on whether they have to accept the committee's recommendations or the MP's recommendations or not. If that doesn't happen, sometimes we do see on a clause by clause basis voting also take place with regard to a bill. During the third reading, and the third reading is the most critical reading because this is when the bill is taken up for consideration and passage. The third bill is when the House votes on whether the bill has to be redrafted. If the bill is passed by the House once, then it is sent to the other House. We already know that for money bills, they have to have a passage only in the Lok Sabha, and then it gets cleared by the Rajya Sabha as well. But for all the other bills that are non-finance related bills or bills that are not money bills, they have to be passed by the Lok Sabha first and then have to be passed by the Rajya Sabha. In Rajya Sabha also, it will go through all the other procedures as well. After both the houses of the parliament pass these bills, it is then presented to the president for giving a final go-ahead. The president signs on this bill, and that becomes and that means that the bill is ready to be enacted into a law. There may be a time that the president, because he has the right to seek information or clarification about the bill, may return it to the parliament for their reconsideration. And then also, if the parliament gives a go-ahead to the bill then comes back to the president, and the president has to sign it. So this is exactly the way, the form any bill takes before it gets enacted into a law. We of course are in a parliamentary democracy. Each and every issue is discussed, is thought about, is vetted by both houses of the parliament before it is enacted into the law of the land.